Hello, welcome to another ramble. I made a recording yesterday, but I didn't really like it, so I just felt like I didn't, how do I say, elaborate on the topic up to my liking. Does that make sense? I don't know. Anyways, hey, so the topic for today is going to revolve around guilt. And guilt, I think we are, how do I say, familiar with this feeling or this emotion because we are people pleasers and we have people pleasing tendencies, and we are very, I guess we expect, how do I say, we have very high standards and high expectations on how we perform and what we contribute to the world. And so we have a tendency to, I don't know, feel guilty if we don't do what we think should be done, or if we cannot fulfill someone else's expectations. Does that make sense? Because we're people pleasers, right? So let me tell you about guilt. Guilt is a negatively charged emotion. It's not good or bad, but it definitely is something that we should learn to overcome. I met someone years ago, and she taught me that it's okay not to feel guilty. And I was like, whoa, really? This is like a whole new concept for me, because for most of my life I felt guilty for, just not living up to my expectations, not living up to other people's expectations, and just, it's just very, very, it's a very harsh and critical part of ourselves that we need to acknowledge and we need to understand, so that we can take our power back and not let it have power over us. So yeah, when my colleague taught me that it was okay not to feel guilty, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like miraculous. Like, I had no idea that you could function this way. And she's like, yeah, I don't let anyone make me feel guilty about anything. Because if you think about it, when somebody is trying to inflict guilt upon you, it's a manipulation tactic. They're trying to get you to do what they want you to do, so it's basically they're trying to disempower you. And also, when you apply guilt to yourself, you're disempowering yourself instead of standing in a place of power. Does that make sense? I mean, how do I say, you can't please everyone 100% of the time. You can't even please yourself 100% of the time, because you inflict such high standards and, expectations and requirements upon yourself. And so, guilt actually it stems from a fear-based place. So, yeah, I mean, I think if you were to look at it, it definitely lets you know when you're not being true to yourself. You know what I mean? I feel like we are all trying our best to do our best in every single moment, even if our best may not seem like the best. It is the best, because everything is as it should be, irregardless of what you think it should be, or irregardless of what someone else thinks it should be. You know what I mean? So guilt helps you to take your power back, and it helps you to make decisions that I want to say will help you to honor yourself and to be true to yourself. It took me years to understand that as an INFJ and a people pleaser, I had very, very, very poor boundaries, and I also was very hard on myself. I was very critical on myself, and it was hard for me to say no. But now I can say no graciously and not feel guilty about it. So if somebody asks me to do something and it just doesn't feel right, or they want me to participate in something that doesn't feel right, instead of saying yes when I actually mean no and then feeling guilty, I'll just say no. Like, oh no, I'm sorry, I can't do that. Or, no, I don't really feel like doing that or participating in that. And, the people who really, really respect you will honor you and be okay with that. But people who are trying to make you feel bad about what you want to participate in or not participate in, it's a manipulation tactic. And if you're doing that to others, you're probably trying to manipulate their behavior. So, yeah, just recognize that guilt exists, and recognize when you're feeling guilt or when somebody is trying to implement guilt upon you, and just see it for what it is. It's a fear-based emotion that we don't really need to, how do I say, agree to. Does that make sense? Yeah, so I don't know. I think it's negative reinforcement, and I think in order for something to grow and to thrive and to flourish, you use positive reinforcement. I think there's a book called Don't Shoot the Dog. I don't know, don't quote me on that. But that book, I think, helps you to operate from a positive reinforcement place versus a negative one. Because come on, man, we're growing and we're evolving, and fear is no longer needed. Fear just kind of keeps you in place, or prevents you from being who you really are. We should be encouraging and empowering and holding everyone responsible and accountable, including ourselves. I don't know if I made sense, but if you learned something, cool. If you didn't, that's cool too. Thank you for watching, and I hope I made sense. If I didn't, that's okay too. Have a great day and blessings. Amen.